Hello and welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the Old Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of match day 14, and not many points for Daniel Cody, only the 4, but a little bit better than mine. There was one perfect score in that, and that was Blackpool's derby win against Preston, 2-0. Other than that, there's a couple of more single score lines there. So I win match day 14 with 9 points to Daniel Cody's 4. Let's start off with match day 15. It's the Friday night kickoff. It is QPR versus Nottingham Forest. Both teams had surprising defeats.
Yeah, well, I guess Forest one more. The surprise was the nature of the defeat and the gap between them. We thought it would be a close game. Forest, it was basically a 6-week regression. Defensive set pieces, they were atrocious. The second goal was basically calamitous. Rash defensive decisions. The challenge for the penalty for the fourth was mad. But despite all of that, Lewis Grabban missed a glorious chance at 1-0, and it could have been a very different game. But Steve Cooper, probably after the new manager bounce, a little bit of a bounce back down to earth, ironically. QPR, what can you say that we haven't covered already? They're so inconsistent. They always carry a great attacking threat. They're lacklustre defensively. They got caught on the counter yet again against Peterborough. We all know that's their main threat at home. So to play into their hands like that was really frightening. I don't genuinely know what to predict with this. I think it's going to be a great game under the lights on Friday night. I think it's one of the first very good TV picks this season. But QPR have been a lot better at home. Having said that, Forest are the third best team on the road this season. Should I go for a thrilling draw to start? I'm going to go for 2 goals apiece.
I don't know, to be honest. QPR, yeah, you could say there's a surprising defeat. I think you're saying the defeat, as soon as it lead against Peterborough, you think QPR would go on stronger than that. Forest, yeah, okay. It was 4-0. It was against Fulham. Once Fulham score, they are pretty ruthless. I don't think there's anything to dwell on for Nottingham Forest. It's not like they're going to have another crisis, anything like that. I actually think the TV games this weekend are not going to be good, in my opinion. I'm going to go straight down the middle. I'm going to go same as a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm not expecting much, but I will watch it Friday night as usual. I'm not expecting a lot. Saturday, early kickoff. It is Fulham versus West Brom. West Brom back to winning ways.
Yeah, a good performance from them. And like you say, I don't think this game will be the most entertaining, to get a spoiler for my prediction out the way, but it was always going to be on TV. 2 of the big sides. 2, I think that you predicted one team to get promoted automatically. I predicted the other. And both sides very convincing at the weekend. I think it's going to be a battle of which defence is at its best. We've seen both sides of Fulham's defence this year. And we've seen West Brom have lacklustre days in front of goal, I think it would be fair to say. But both teams have got individual quality. Fulham was so ruthless against Forest. Mitrovic now going at over 1 a game, which after 14 match days is ridiculous. So fair play to him. West Brom have got their own individual magic in the likes of Carl and Grant. I think it's going to be another tight one. I'm tempted to go for another draw, but because Fulham have lost a couple this season, Craig, I don't know what to do. Fulham, no, 1-1, Championship's favourite scoreline. Basically, I'm copping out.
Same with the other TV pick. I just don't know. I don't expect it to be entertaining. Fulham will want to play on the floor. West Brom will obviously go a bit more direct. I'm not sure. It's going to be a crazy one. I'm going to go Fulham to lose 1-0. I think they might hold out here, West Brom. Obviously, that was into the West Brom fan that obviously was taken ill, and to the Bristol City fan in that same game that also got taken ill as well, wishing the full recovery. Speaking of Bristol City, they are at home to Barnsley. Barnsley lost again, but the scoreline probably doesn't reflect it. So they literally gave it a go. They got two goals. They gave it a go, but they still lost. Is this the opportunity now for Bristol City to finally get a home win?
I mean, it's an opportunity and it's as good a one as any, but it's the law now, isn't it? You can't predict a Bristol City win at home. My problem with this, Craig, is I don't know what to predict with Barnsley, because the last 10 minutes, when they just went all out and played in, I would say, a slightly more similar way than they did last year, they looked fantastic. For 10 minutes, Sheffield United couldn't handle them. Maybe, yes, at 3-0, they thought the game was won and whatever, but they looked really good. It was a spirited fight back, and they have to take that into this game. Otherwise, Marcus Schopp will, at the very worst, at the end of next week, get the chop in the international break. The defensive structure for Barnsley, though, for the first 3 goals was so poor. The second one, where you see Lys Mousset just sort of shrugging off a centre-half to get on the end of a ball into the box, it really is worrying signs. Bristol City were poor against West Brom, but they're not going to be judged on that game at the end of the season. I can't predict either side to win, but I don't want to start with 3 draws. I'm going to go Championship's favourite scoreline again. But if Barnsley play like they did the last 15, they'll win.
You expect Bristol City to win because Barnsley's form is horrendous at the moment. Bristol City's home form is horrendous. It's got the makings of a 0-0 draw, but Saturday will be the day. Bristol City will get a win. I'm going to go Bristol City to win 1-0. Not expecting a lot in this game. Really am not. Right, next up, Pride Park. It is Derby County versus Blackburn. Derby, I thought was a very good point at Coventry. Broke the winning streak at the CBS. Blackburn back to winning ways. A 2-0 win against Reading.
They looked a great threat going forward. It should have been more. They had so many chances on the counter, particularly at 2-0, where they were 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 and just weren't able to take chances. Missed a couple of sitters, but probably one of the most polished Blackburn displays of the season. Young Dolan looking a fantastic player, obviously being talked about international call-ups, scored a lovely goal in that game as well. And nice to see Sam Gallagher chipping in as well. So they've got some real attacking threat there, Blackburn. Just got to be consistent defensively, because before that, they were conceding goals galore for the 5 games previous. Derby, the only slight concern now is it's 4 draws in a row, but you can also look at that as 5 games unbeaten if you tag on the 1-0 win against Reading. A really good effort against Coventry. The character, the attitude, all of those classic words about mentality, you have to give Derby such credit for. They fought back late on. It was their only shot on target. They didn't offer a huge amount in that game, but they stayed in the game and they just don't know when they're beaten. They deserve enormous credit. And I just hope that Wayne Rooney has a takeover or some sort of transfer budget to work with in January, even if it's just to get in free agents or loan players. I'd like Derby to be able to have a real go at it. But for this game, it's another one that is going to be so tight. And Derby having drawn 4 in a row, it's an easy case for me to start with 4 draws in succession, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go for Derby to nick this because Blackburn haven't put together 2 good performances in a row for a while. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Derby County.
Blackburn are, for me, I think they're a bit inconsistent. I thought it was a very good point for Derby last Saturday. Seems to be a good atmosphere, apart from the odd skirmish after the disallowed goal. I think Derby will win this game, to be honest. I really do, because Blackburn, as much as beating Reading 2-0, and it was a great result, don't get me wrong, but it can easily just fold it away and be absolutely terrible. So I think Derby will win this one as well. I think 2-1 to the Rams. Right, next up, it is Huddersfield versus Millwall. Huddersfield got absolutely trounced against Bournemouth. No surprises there, but Millwall, home win. So in last Saturday, they were absolutely terrible against Luton, booed them off the pitch. 6 points after that. So pretty much, it's a very good week.
Yeah, and a fantastic fight back against Stoke as well. I think at half time, there would have been very good odds on Millwall coming back to get a win in that game. But as much as Stoke helped contribute to it, Millwall really put pressure on Stoke. 2 teams that traditionally play a similar game, and Millwall are far more successful at it. Great to see Tom Bradshaw in the goals, because whenever I've seen him on TV or in games, he's put in such a shift, but he doesn't always get the goals to reward him. And he got a couple there and was the hero on the night. Back-to-back 2-1 wins. You'd be tempted to maybe go for the same again. As you said, Huddersfield aren't going to be judged on the Bournemouth game. There's no surprises on that. And at home, they've been pretty consistent. 4 wins out of 7. Millwall have been great on the road and very rarely lose. So I don't think we're going to get a match day with more draws in this season if I'm going by my predictions. I'm going for 0-0 because Huddersfield have kept 3 clean sheets prior to the Bournemouth game.
I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the worst match day.
It's horrendous.
to predict on. I don't know. It's easy to say draw. I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm actually gonna go Millwall. Millwall. I think it was a good week. I think they can really go on momentum, go on a bit of a run. I think they're going to win 2-0 at Huddersfield. Right, next up is Hull City versus Coventry City. You went to watch Hull at Luton last week. Thoughts?
My thoughts were, I've not seen many poor Luton performances this year. I've not seen many teams fail to take advantage of such good opportunities. Hull were in good positions attacking-wise because Luton weren't great. On the ball, they weren't great. A lot of energy had been taken out from the 2 away games. And Hull just couldn't take advantage. Any half-decent side would have won that game. I've never seen a side look so toothless. I think that's the thing that scares me. The goal threat wasn't there. McGuinness works hard, but is not a big goal threat. Keane Lewis-Potter put in 1 brilliant cross in the first half, but again, was inconsistent in his threat throughout the game. And even when they brought on Tom Eaves, there was a chance 6 yards out and he looked to pass it instead of shooting. When the keeper was out of his goal, it was very bizarre. My honest thoughts on it, Craig, is that Hull are certain to go down based on that performance for me, unless they have a big turnaround in January. The squad on paper would suggest it, but Grant McCann's got one hell of a job on his hands. Coventry away from home, we know this season haven't been great. Of course, the added confidence woe of losing that perfect home record last weekend, but they have to win this one for me. They've got so much threat going forward in comparison. They've scored in all of their last 4 games since Luton, ironically. I think Coventry win big. I'm not going for a draw in this one. Nowhere near the fence. 3-0 Coventry.
No, I agree. I think this could be the end of Grant McCann's reign at Hull, and I think fans have got to be careful what you wish for with Hull. You can call for Steve Bruce as much as you like. When you've got owners that are not really helping the club, it's not going to really work out as what you think. But Hull look very weak. I think the shape's wrong. I think they don't really grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and that's where I think they'll probably go down this year. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Coventry in this game. Right, next up at the Riverside, it is Middlesbrough versus Birmingham. Both teams got wins last week. Only their second wins. Middlesbrough's second win away from home. Birmingham's second win at home. That was a better near warm-up performance.
Yeah, they are just starting to get some players back as well. They've had huge injury problems. And maybe that's the credit for Neil Warnock, is that they've still gone under the radar. They've still picked up results. I know they're 3 games where they'd really expect to win. At home to Barnsley and Peterborough, who are really struggling. Away to a Cardiff side whose manager was on the way out. It's a fantastic opportunity to get 3 wins, but that's far easier on paper than it is to go and do it. 3 clean sheets, 3 comfortable victories. And suddenly Middlesbrough are in the playoff picture again, which is incredible. Birmingham, obviously, a good win against Swansea last time out. They almost played like the away side at home. Swansea liked to keep the ball. They caught them out high up the pitch quite often. Talif Chong had another one of those games, putting a delicious cross for the goal that was disallowed and just looked a class above again. But can he do it often enough? Can he do it against a very well-disciplined Middlesbrough side? I don't think so. Middlesbrough will not afford the space that Swansea did. They won't afford the opportunities in the final third. And I think Middlesbrough will sneak a victory by 1-0 or 2-1, 2-1.
I think this could be a good game, actually. I really don't know why. 2 teams probably want to be a bit direct. Troy Deeney, captain, that threw me by surprise, but he got his goal. So it seems to be a masterstroke from Lee Bowyer. Borough, obviously, yeah, they took advantage of Cardiff's really poor run. I'm going to go 2-2. I think this will be a good game. It's probably my game of the week so far. 2-2. Right, next up, Deepdale. It is Preston North End versus Luton Town. Preston lost in the derby to Blackpool. Looked toothless, in my opinion. Luton didn't play well, but get another clean sheet.
Yeah, and that was the key for Luton. It's one of those games where if you want to be in the playoff mix at the end of the season, you have to get a result in matches like that. And it was one of those where a better side probably would have put them away and probably would have come back into it. But 7 points out of 9 in a week like that is an incredible achievement. The worry is injuries. Elijah Adebayo, we do not look the same side when he's not in there. Similar as it used to be with Collins prior to that. And if he is out for any longer with a slight hamstring strain, we might be in trouble. The other side of that, obviously, we lost another player in the first half in Luke Berry, but we've got a bit more of a squad coming back now and players coming back to fitness. So for the Luton side, I'm not too concerned. Preston, for a derby match, a game you've been waiting a few years for, and then that performance, really disappointing. Ill-disciplined, not really with much attacking intent. Obviously, the red card late onto Alan Brown, which is going to have a knock-on effect. And as a Luton fan, I was delighted to see he won't be available. But very big concerns there. I've said for most part this season that Preston are doing all right in the circumstances because their squad is about where they are in the table. I'm starting to wonder if they might be in a relegation battle now.
Well, there was something about their signings. I think made 8-9 signings. I think only 2 of them have played so far.
Yeah.
Something like that, or completed a certain amount of minutes.
And don't forget, they brought 7 in on loan in January or whatever it was, and hardly any of them featured a huge amount. It's a very strange situation at the club, and I risk looking bad again for going for Luton wins back-to-back, but I can't see past it. Luton are now 7th best away from home in the league, got a positive goal difference on the road for, I think, the first time in the Championship. I'm going for 1-0 Luton.
I was going to go for the same scoreline because it feels like a typical Luton away win. I think they can go better because I would never predict them to win 2-0 at Millwall, and he did. I think they can do it again. They look more threatening when they go forward. I know obviously Adebayo probably will be out, but they've got good replacements in there with the experience of Cameron Jerome and Musquet coming back into the fold, and Cornick on form. Onyedinma's coming back into the team, and he's setting up goals now and scoring as well. So if they got that plan B in there without Adebayo, Luton could be really dangerous. I think 2-0. 2-0 to Luton. Right, next up, Sheffield United versus Blackpool. Sheffield United won their own derby away at Barnsley 3-2. Blackpool, first win against Preston in 20 plus years in their own derby. I said about Lys Mousset, it's good to see him back, and he's proved me right. 2 goals.
I know we do get a lot of stick for the odd thing we get wrong here, but
I did get something right.
There's a lot of things that have actually worked out quite well this year. For you, it was Lys Mousset and Sheffield United. For me, it's definitely been Blackpool so far this year. Definitely going to stay up based on what we've seen so far. Lovely to see Keshi Anderson, who went to the same school in special measures as me in Luton, scoring such a clever goal.
Yeah, well done. It's good to see Keshi Anderson back fit as well. Obviously played Barton Rovers down the road before he got his big move. It's very nice to see him back fit and playing in the Championship. So well done to him.
Yeah, and he was basically in inspired form that first half. I just thought it was really clever. Everyone would have expected power going for the far bottom corner and just saw a gap to the near post and just passed it in as slow as you like.
I think it went off both feet.
We'll give him the credit regardless.
Who cares? He went in.
Exactly.
Blackpool fan.
And Blackpool have been brilliant. They're still in great form. That's what, 1 defeat in 6 now, 4 wins in that time as well. I mean, they're starting to look a playoff threat. I don't think they'll be up there at the end of the season, but if you can say to Blackpool after half a season, you'll be staying up, they'll be very happy with that, let me tell you. So brilliant work for them. Sheffield United were fantastic for 75 minutes, but probably the issue we didn't expect to see with them this year is frailties at the back. That's 9 goals conceded in their last 5 now, and it has harmed them from getting a few results. I think this game is going to be a classic. It's the game of the weekend, and it's going to be 2 apiece. I think it's going to be a great match.
This could be a game of the day, actually. Which way will it go? I don't know. Yeah, this is going to be my game. So I'm going to go for goals galore in this game. I really am. I'm going to go 3-2 to Blackpool. Yeah, that's my bold prediction of the week. Right, next up, it is Stoke City versus Cardiff City. Cardiff have got rid of Mick McCarthy. We had a reaction to his sacking. Please check that out in the eye above. Stoke, not the place you want to go to. I said that in the managerial special. It's not the place to go to. It's definitely not the place you want to go to first up.
No, and obviously apart from the last game against Bournemouth, they've been brilliant at home. However, it's 3 defeats in a row for Stoke now. They're without Nick Powell, who has been by far and away their most threatening player this year. And there's just that little overlap now where Tyrese Campbell is just starting to come off the bench and get back to fitness, but that will take a few games. So I could argue, looking for a new manager bounce with Cardiff, it might be the perfect time for a ground you wouldn't normally want to go to. Stoke were abysmal in the second half. They'll miss Powell massively. And Cardiff, the only new manager bounce we've got to base it on this year is Nottingham Forest, and that was an almighty one. So I think I'm going to go against the odds here and say Stoke will lose back-to-back home games. They'll lose 4 in a row. And Cardiff, albeit as it stands under interim management rather than permanent management, are going to get that win because it only takes one moment of confidence. I'm backing it at last, Craig. The front 2 are going to start together. Cardiff are going to win 2-1 on the road.
No, opposite way for me. Stoke to win 2-0. I'll be interested to see how Cardiff line up. Do they, as you said, do they play Collins and Moore? Does Nelson get back into the team? Who plays alongside him? Because they just look very weak, conceding goals here and everywhere. They're not scoring, they're not creating enough. This is not the game to do it, though, in my opinion. I'm going to go Stoke to win 2-0. Right, next up, it is Cardiff's rivals. It is Swansea City. They're at home to Peterborough United. And with Peterborough, 6 points out of the last 6. Swansea, on the other hand, despite their very good week, has gone wrong.
Yeah, and it was so telegraphed what was going to happen there. They played out from the back against a side that loved to counter and play like the away team. And it was very similar to what happened in the first half at Luton, but without obviously the comeback in the second half. But the signs were there that was going to happen against Birmingham. And I know Russell Martin is very staunch to his style, and it is improving at Swansea. But there's the odd game where you have to adapt. And Birmingham would have been a classic one of that for me. So I was a little bit disappointed to see that they didn't adjust for that match. Peterborough, as you say, 6 points out of 6. They're always a threat at home. Away to Hull, one of the few winnable away games, and they took advantage of it. But for me, this is possibly the only banker of the weekend because Peterborough on the road normally means problems. They've still got the worst away record in the league. They've let in 19 goals away from home in 7 matches. Next highest is 15, which is QPR, who they played last week. So for me, Swansea are going to win this comfortably. They have won 3 out of 7 at home games. They've only lost 1. But, Craig, they've only scored 7 goals in the 7 home games. So I'm only going for 1-0.
Peterborough confidence is up. Swansea had all the possession against Birmingham, 72%, and lost 2-1. But it's the shots wise, it's worrying. Obviously, only 7 shots in the game, 1 on target, which was the goal. That's not good enough. But Swansea at home, don't concede, don't score many. I think it'd be a tighter game than most people would probably think. People will give it a go. 2-1 to Swansea. And the final game at 8 p.m, Reading versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth, obviously, I said last week, they're still unbeaten and they look really good. How many more games will Bournemouth stay unbeaten?
I'm going to say the same as I said last week, Craig. It doesn't really matter because they were the last side to get beaten last season and they didn't get promoted. So don't get too excited. I will say that for Scott Parker, coming into a new side with a few new players, with obviously some of the difficulties they've had off the pitch as well, has done a fantastic job so far. They look so efficient. They've conceded, 1 goal in the last 5 games now. That was against Sheffield United. They look like they can roll over the teams in the bottom half. And they certainly don't look like they're going to get beaten. They've only actually let in 1 goal away from home all year, which in 7 games is a fabulous achievement. And Reading, you might as well just copy and paste what we said about Swansea. Lots of the ball, gave it away in silly positions, looked poor on the counter-attack against a Blackburn team who were really threatening. And that's back-to-back defeats now. It seemed like that second half comeback from Blackpool in the game before really, really carried over into that weekend game. And I'm starting to worry if Reading will go on another poor run now. I think Bournemouth are going to win. I don't think it'll be massive. I'm going to go for 2-0.
I'm going to go 3-0. No, 3-1. No, 3-0. 3-0. I've changed my mind. 3-0. Yeah, Bournemouth look really good. They're not doing anything special. They've been ruthless, but winning games. I know it was a good 3-0 win at home to Huddersfield. Scott Parker also has to give a lot of credit. Obviously, it's very hard for as you said, a new manager come in and go 14 games unbeaten, especially in the Championship. So you've got to give them credit on that. It's a totally different vibe to what Jason Tindall had with Bournemouth. I think the expectancy, with Bournemouth was a lot higher last season, probably to this season, to be honest. Reading, on the other hand, just I have to agree, it's just inconsistent again. Just come back to inconsistent. They obviously lost. They were 2 up against Blackpool and blew it, and they weren't particularly great against Blackburn, who have been inconsistent themselves. But 3-0 Bournemouth, I think nothing special, but a bit ruthless on the attacking line. And let's just recap what we just predicted, and it's going to be quite tight in certain games. My bold 3-2 Blackpool win against Sheffield United is my game of the day. Cody's going to go simple 3-0 win for Coventry at Hull. And those are predictions for Matchday 15. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there. And give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Right down there, give this video a like, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football Free. And we'll see you next time.